Hello. So once again, just another random and spontaneous video talking about nothing. There's nothing here. And there's no one here. There's never been anyone here. And there's never been anything here. But there seems to be an illusion happening. That you are here. And there's lots of others here. And lots of places. And different locations and a world. Lots of towns and cities. And things going on. Events. Circumstances on the news. History. Future. Time. Space. And that all this illusion revolves around you. It's quite arrogant. I'm not saying there's anything right or wrong with it. Because there isn't anyone here. There's no one to blame. There's no one at fault for being conditioned or believing in the illusion that you are a self-character. And no one's to blame for the belief in time or space or location or places or the world. It's just what's happening. But what's being shared here is that in some bodies, that illusion, well, it would seem to crumble, lose its foundations, collapse, evaporate, be seen through. Because in particular, when the illusion of time and location or distance and space falls away, what's left is what's always been here, is this immediacy. So there's no teaching here, or there's nothing, there's no sort of belief or philosophy on offer. It's just a sharing of what is already. And what is already is a fact. It's a fact that this immediacy of whatever seems to be appearing is everything. There's nothing else anywhere else. I mean, if that is seen by no one, then it's game over for the me character, because there's nowhere it can appear in this immediacy. I mean, it can't appear because it's not I'm not talking about the body. The body seems to appear, but that me character, that self character that you've been conditioned to believe that you are, has never appeared. It will never appear. I mean, if you want to say it can appear as a thought, then that's fairly accurate. But then if you want to dissect or deconstruct what a thought is, well, it's nothing. So you are nothing. You've never been. The self is just, well, it's a thought, which is nothing. It's a thought. So that me character, your whole life, is just a movement of energy, a thought that periodically or occasionally pops up every so often in this immediacy. It's not always there. Yeah, so I don't know what I'm going to talk about as usual. Just click record and see what happens. But it is amazing, isn't it, how, well, there seems to be all these bodies, all these people in the world. And, well, the majority really believe that there's a self inside that body and other bodies. But there is no doer. There's no controller. You know, that sense of I am choosing to do this activity always appears late, you know, after the action's been made. And it's the same with thoughts. It's so obvious that you cannot choose your own thoughts. Well, they're not your thoughts. You know, a thought just arises. It just appears out of nowhere. No one even knows where they come from, because this is an unknown existence. You know, it is obvious. If a thought just randomly pops up, which it does, they're always random and spontaneous, as is everything. Then for you to claim that it's your thought, that's just another thought that arises after the initial thought. So how could you choose your next thought? You cannot choose your next thought. When that's been seen, then it's so obvious that there's no doer. And that's not just you, it's everybody, all apparent people. So it's like this grand movie or play with no characters in it. It's just happening by itself. So the story of your life does not belong to you. It belongs to this unknown existence, awareness, consciousness, whatever you want to call it. Because the story of your life can only appear as thoughts that arise now in this immediacy. So if a memory arrives or pops up of something that happened in your apparent past, you did not choose that memory to arise. You can't choose what memory to pop up and when. And it seems, here anyway, I've said this on, multiple videos now, that it seems, here anyway, the biggest illusion, obviously it is the illusion of the self, but it's time as well, and the one of the same, really. So that's why the illusion can feel so real. So when I say it's the same, time and the illusory me character are exactly the same energy. One cannot exist without the other. So any thought of you and your life must include time in order for the illusion to feel real. But there's only this immediacy. This is all there is. This is all there's ever been. This is all that will ever be, is this oneness, this wholeness that's whole and complete. It hasn't come from anywhere. It cannot go anywhere. It's just timeless immediacy. Nothing happened before this. Nothing can happen next. It's impossible. So when that's been seen by no one, then the me character dies. So the me character cannot survive in this immediacy. It wouldn't have anywhere to live because it lives in time, which is an illusion. And there's so much freedom when that's realized, again, by no one. So no one realizes this because there isn't anyone. It's just a recognition of what is already. It is amazing. If you're watching this and you've had a clear seeing or a no self-realization, as I've often called it, it's an incredible illusion. It can feel so real, that things happened in the past. It's like an imagined linear time frame. It's not there. It's just completely illusory. There's only this immediacy. I mean, I think, personally, it seems here that it's the only true freedom. Because, I mean, I don't want to say, I've got cramp. I don't want to say it's the end of suffering. So I've been doing a lot of running lately. I've just got cramp in my leg. I don't want to say it's the end of suffering. Because anything can seem to arise. Uncomfortable thoughts and feelings can still arise. But when it's undeniable that, this immediacy is all there is timelessly, then any thoughts and feelings, they can't really survive or hang around for long. Because it's an illusion. It's got no reality at all. So any memories of the past or thoughts of the future, they've literally got no, it's an illusion. It's not happening. Only this immediacy is what seems to be happening. Even that's saying too much. There's nothing here. There's no one here. There is no thinker. That's the illusion. I remember, years ago when I was a seeker, you wake up in the morning and there's that peace and quiet, if you're lucky. But then the thinker, the thoughts will arrive, and you think that them thoughts are yours. It's, oh shit, I need to do this, I've got to do that, or I can't believe that happened 15 years ago, still having regrets of that. And that's what's being exposed here, is that me character is kind of like unnecessary suffering. It isn't there. It's an illusion. So now, I mean, if that happens here, wake up in the morning and then the thoughts arrive about, things that have happened in my apparent past and what I need to do in my fantasy of a future. Of course, there's only this immediacy. So the thoughts, they've just got no power at all. They're just, thoughts are nothing. They mean nothing. They've got no significance, or they're not related to this immediacy in any way. It's just language. It's just made up words appearing, and then you believe in them thoughts. So you then become this illusory thinker, an imagined thinker that isn't there. And I've always said there's no teachings or advice here, but I just can't help but say that there's only this immediacy. If you can just see that this is all there is, it's all that's ever been. That's what I mean. It's a joke. It does. It seems a bit cruel, really, in a way, doesn't it? How I mean, why is it this way? I mean, I don't know. There's no answers here. To be honest, only the imagined me character would ask that question. There's no questions to really ask. There's no answers. It's just this immediacy. This doesn't need to be answered. What's happening right now, this immediacy, doesn't need to be explained. It just is. And then I get a thought then arises, well, why am I making these videos then? But I'm not making the videos, you're not watching them, it's just what's happening. So everything just, I don't even want to say it's allowed to be, because that then implies there's a you that could allow it to be. It just is, for no reason, no purpose. So whatever's happening right now, nothing led up to this moment, because there wasn't anything that happened before this moment. It's not even a moment, it's just this immediacy. And any frustration. So if you're watching this video or other non-dual speakers or spiritual videos, and you're feeling frustrated, you're saying to yourself, I just can't get it. Then it's not your fault. It's actually not you that's getting it or not getting it. It's just this immediacy appearing as that. There's nothing to get or not to get. I mean, it would seem that again, it's time. It's time. So if you feel as though you're waiting for a shift to happen, or you're waiting for something to happen in the future, a moment of enlightenment or no self-realization, then that's an impossibility. It's completely illusory, because there's only this immediacy. There is no next. There isn't a future. So there seems to be an illusion of continuity. So there's an illusion that there was a past, and there's an illusion of continuity of the future, but it's an illusion. It's not happening. It can't happen. It's never happened. There's only this immediacy. That's it. There's nothing else. And it's always been that way. And it'll always be that way. How could you escape what is? You can't step back or forward or go in or out. There's nowhere to get to. There's nowhere to go. and I don't know, that might feel terrifying to you, or it might be a relief or a freedom. It's a hell of an illusion. I mean, what a trick. What a trick of the mind. Not that there is a mind. Again, that's an illusion. There's nothing happening. There's only this immediacy. There's no avoidance here of the story and the characters that are in my life. So even though it's been seen that my life it's not, it is an illusion, there is only this immediacy. But it's weird, I've said it on other videos, it's kind of like there's two worlds going on at the same time. There's this immediacy, which is an obvious fact of what is, and then there's this like illusory matrix or mind generated world that's going on at the same time. And there's no avoidance of it, just because it's been seen through that there isn't anyone here and there's nothing here. You can still enjoy the illusion, it seems. It's magical, really. It's wonderful. Apologies if you're, it might not be in some cases, it seems that in the story of time, we go through struggles, times of struggle and times of happiness. So apologies if you are going through a tough time right now. There's nothing but compassion here. All I'm sharing is that there is only this immediacy, and any story that seems to be happening is an imagined story appearing now in this immediacy. And that imagined story, time, it's time related. That's why the channel are called the Imagined Story Time. So the imagined story time isn't here. It's not happening. It can only happen as an illusion that seems to be being played out by this unknown existence for no reason, no cause. It's just what seems to be happening. It doesn't need to be explained, as I said earlier. I mean, to be honest, that's where more suffering comes from. Trying to explain it, trying to understand it, trying to work out what to do, trying to work out why it went wrong for you, or but you don't. It sounds like a teaching. That doesn't need to. You don't need to do that. I hope that's making sense. I'm just trying to be as honest as I can in these videos. So any story of you and your past and your life is a mental overlay. It's a mental overlay that seems to appear on top of this immediacy or within this immediacy. And I mean, here anyway, I'm trying to explain it in a way, I mean, there's been multiple glimpses here in the past, and what was seen is that this immediacy people call it consciousness, awareness, the absolute. It's not separate from the story. So there's like a relative world, an illusion, and then this immediacy, but they're the same. They're happening simultaneously, but it's the same isness, if that makes sense. Because any story can only appear as a thought, and the thought can only arise in this immediacy. It's not separate from it. There's no separation, there's no division, there's no dividing lines, there's no edge, there's no boundary. It's just a completely still and silent screen, empty, completely empty, which is simultaneously bursting with aliveness. And it can appear as anything, all the colours, feelings, sensations, sounds, anything. Anything that arises is no more important or less important. That's all for the me character. So that illusory me character might say that this thought of this work activity I need to do tomorrow is far more important than the sound of the dog that I can hear barking in the next door neighbour's garden. But it's not. It's exactly the same. It's got no. It's not even, none of them. Nothing's got value. It's just what is. It's just what's happening. And that's where the relaxation and the freedom and the liberation is seen in this. Excuse me. You don't have to do anything. And that pisses people off. That can trigger people as well. But, there is no doer. I said at the beginning of the video about the thoughts. You can't choose your thoughts. It seems like motivation or action comes from the mental narrative, but if you're not in control of that mental narrative, which you're not, because you're not, there is no self, then how can you be responsible for anything? It's total freedom for no one. It's just this. I mean, it's fucking tiring. If you're identified with that me character, I mean, how tiring is it to control all the shit that's going on in your life? I mean, it's exhausting. Especially if you're trying to find a better way, or you're seeking, you're searching for something that's going to help you. I mean, that is suffering. You're searching for something that doesn't exist, because the only, I'm going to say thing, it's not a thing, but the only thing that can ever exist is this immediacy. There's nothing else. So all searching is absolute nonsense, all of it. Well, I don't want to say that because that's just what's happening too. And if it wasn't for the seeking or the searching, then there might not be the realization or the recognition that this immediacy is all there is. You know, somebody asked me that the other day. So they asked me, they said, you know, so am I best off just seeking and searching and searching and searching and exhausting myself until this realization? But how can you answer that? There isn't a doer. That's what I mean. There's no answers. It's just what's happening. There's just this immediacy, and that's it. There's nothing else. But it would seem that any seeking or searching does overlook this. I mean, what's been noticed here is you know, there's times I can be sat here in this immediacy and the thoughts they're kind of like carrying on playing out things that I need to do or things that have happened in the past. And it sounds like such a paradox, this, but even though it's been seen clearly that time isn't, there's no time here in this immediacy. It seems like there is a process that happens over time where there's a thinning away of that belief of the me character and time itself. You know, and again, this is not a teaching, but what seemed to happen here, there was like a testing of it. You know, something that would arise, a thought would arise here that would cause me anxiety. You know, there's like a testing of it. Well, you know, is that real? You know, is that actually an illusion? Is that actually worth the effort, worth the stress, worth the anxiety compared to this immediacy? And I can only say from experience here, it was there was a testing of it and it just all completely collapsed. And you don't actually have to believe any thoughts that arise, like none. You know, and I'm not saying you go around and you can completely ignore any thoughts. Otherwise, you wouldn't even put your bins out in time for bin collection day. It's not like that. It's just the psychological suffering that seems irrelevant to this immediacy that's here. I mean, you actually don't have to worry about putting your bins out in time for bin collection day. It'll either happen or it won't. Fucking nightmare if you miss the bin collection day in the UK. Especially the black bin. If anyone's in the UK watching this, I think it's the black bin across the whole country. It is around the northwest anyway. You know, your food waste bin. You don't want to miss that one. especially with a 2-week collection. Again, that's an imagined story appearing now in this immediacy. There's nothing happening. There's just this immediacy. Whatever's appearing in your vision, your sounds, smells, tastes, touch, even any thoughts or feelings that arise in this immediacy, they're not happening outside of this immediacy. Nothing can happen outside of this immediacy. It's always brand new. You can't choose to blink your own eyes, but each time your eyes blink, it's like it's brand new every time. Never been seen before. So there's no you in the center of this immediacy. There's just this immediacy. Now there is an illusion, as I said, there's an illusion that you're in the body looking out at objects, but that's not really the case. If you really, not that you can do anything, but if you can just see that it's just all just a screen, it's like a movie screen, the body, the table, the window, whatever appears, it's all the same isness. There's no center, there's no location. You're not in the center of that room. You're not in a city. You're not in a world. It's an incredible illusion. It feels so real. It can feel so real. But where's the illusion? Right now in this immediacy, where is the illusion? It's not here. There's nothing here. There's nothing happening. Game over. If you believe in the thoughts and you become that thinker again in the illusion, then it can feel so real. But if the thoughts are taken for what they really are, which is nothing, just a movement of energy, they mean the same as a pigeon flying across the sky, then there's nothing happening. And then all your psychological suffering is gone. And I know if you're watching this and you completely identified, you really feel like you are a person in the world. Then this message can seem unbelievable in a way, because the me character, it could not understand this immediacy, because the me character cannot survive in this immediacy. So when it's seen that this immediacy is all there is, you don't get to see it. You're not there. You never was anyway. There is no you. That's the illusion. That's what glimpses are. So when people say they have glimpses, it's not for you. No one has a glimpse. A glimpse just reveals this immediacy. And in this immediacy, there isn't you there. There's no one here. There's nothing here. There's nothing happening. So you can never run out of time. Says me wearing a watch. Again, it seems like, I mean, I mentioned it, I think it was the last video or the video before, and it sounds so contradictory, this, that it kind of feels optional to live in immediacy or in the illusion. It's not. That's also an illusion, but I don't know, I can't explain it. It's just seen that there's kind of like two realities going on at the same time. There's what is this immediacy, and then there's the illusion that's being played. And it seems that the majority of people in the apparent world have only ever experienced the illusion and not this immediacy. Although that's not strictly true, because you've never not been in this immediacy. It's so hard to explain. It is a paradox. It's so difficult to talk to someone about this that's not been around the circles of non-duality, or for some time. And there's I have a lot of respect here for speakers, like Tony Parsons and Kenneth Madden, Jim Newman, Tim Kliss. I've watched all the speakers over the years, and I have a lot of respect for them to sit in a room with other people, or even to do open Zoom calls as well, because admittedly, most of the people that do go to their meetings or attend the Zoom calls have a high resonance to this message, but to be challenged by someone who's completely identified with the me character, it would just seem like fucking hard work, to be honest. Like pissing in the wind a lot of the time. That's why, I don't really talk to my friends and family or neighbours about it. I've said it lots of my other videos. But thank you for resonating with this channel. People with the kind comments and emails, phone calls and donations, it's much appreciated. Again, I don't know why the videos are happening, they just are. And quite a lot of people have asked if I would do a face-to-face meeting, or sort of Zoom calls or one-to-ones. Who knows? No one knows what's going to happen in 5 minutes or tomorrow, because there isn't. There's nothing, there is no 5 minutes from now. Nothing happened 5 minutes ago. There's only this immediacy. But I suppose planning can happen in this immediacy. I mean, how many times have you planned something and it could either happen or it won't happen, but does it always go the way it was planned in this immediacy? But yeah, I'll leave it there for today. Once again, thank you for watching and supporting the channel. It's much appreciated. Have a good day.